Good morning. It is Sunday, the first Sunday of August, and before you know, I will be saying it's the last Sunday of August. That is how fast this summer has gone. Now, I've been watching documentaries about the Nuremberg Trials, and as I watched them, I thought this had potential to set a standard to hold people responsible. The very people who were responsible for imprisoning Jews, gypsies, those who may have been not white enough for the Nazis, those who disagreed with them, all these people were killed off just because they were gypsy, maybe they were deaf, maybe they were blind, possibly both. Some of them were a product of continual inbreeding within families. And yes, the majority were Jewish. There was also some people who were naysayers in the 1,000-Year Reich. While they were right, it didn't last 10 years. Never mind 1,000. These are the people that were killed. Now, instead of going after the ones that served as in the nuclear energy studies, because Germany was working on a nuclear bomb, instead of taking these guys, putting them through the trial, this government in this country gave them new IDs, new passports, and brought them to this country. The ones that were in psychology, that understood how the brain worked, they also got new identities, new passports, and were brought here to be part of the MK Ultra program. These are the ones that, by all intents and purposes, should have been put through the Nuremberg Trials. They knew everything. But who got prosecuted? The sergeants, the lieutenants, the guys that were just following orders. You see, if they had gone after the generals and the admirals, they would have set a precedent. They would have made, Nuremberg Trials would have made it clear, if you start a world war and you commit a genocide, you will be prosecuted. Not the lower guys, middle guys, but the ones at the top will be prosecuted. Do you think, for a minute, there would have been any more conflict started had the Nuremberg Trials been used as effectively as it could have been? I seriously doubt it. However, the Nuremberg Trials weren't over 10 years, and young men like my father, who was barely 18, if that, were the ones going into the Korean conflict with the sovereignty of South Korea being the booby prize. I don't mean to sound like I'm degrading South Korea or their culture or anything like that. That's not what this is. This is the Nuremberg Trials failed and why they failed. The Nuremberg Trials weren't even close. There were so many of the higher ranking generals and physicians that escaped, and I have no doubt they had help escaping from this government. It's insane. They always want to say, well, we tried everything we could. No, they didn't. There was a ship liner, a luxury liner, full of Jewish families who were not wealthy by any means. Roosevelt could have let them stay in Miami, live in Miami, until World War II was over. They could have let them stay there. Then once this war was over, they would have to go back. No, he didn't do that. He threw them under the bus. All these leaders who refused. Here, I can understand, because we had the Great Depression at the time. They were still knee-deep in it. And no one really knew how serious this was going to get. So instead of helping them, they turned them away. And honestly, Roosevelt wasn't the only one that threw Jews under the bus. There was a lot more leaders that did it. That could have done more to help. Without a doubt. There was an American attorney, last name Jackson, who did a lot of the prosecuting. Oh, IBM. Oh my God. IBM took advantage of the situation. How? They developed a technology and a way to translate each section for the judges into their native language. That was the first phono translator type of thing we ever had. And we've had them ever since. Now, the attorneys that helped set this up, I don't know if they knew they were going to just self-sabotage and sabotage what the potential of Nuremberg Trails could have had. Maybe they didn't know that all these nuclear scientists were given new identities and brought here to work on a nuclear bomb here in America. Also, these psychiatrists, these sick sadists, were brought here and in Canada as part of an MK Ultra program. Okay, now I remember now. The nuclear science was Operation Paperclip. That's what that was. I'm trying to think of this, and it's like, yeah. They were brought here as two different governmental programs. And they say we ended up with the nuclear bomb, unfortunately, for Japan, that is. That is another thing that should have been put under the microscope of the Nuremberg trials. One, would have been sufficient. Two, was over the top. And my personal opinion, unnecessary. Whoops. The spider cat. Hashtag life with pets, right? The cat just slid out off the windowsill, trying with her claws to hang onto the wall, because it's kind of a textured thing. Some areas is a little more textured than others, and she can sometimes hang on to it with her claws, but this was a fail. And of course, it got Sarge going. Anyway, back to Nuremberg Trials. Had it tried these men, these monsters, and put them to the guillotine, I think that would have deterred a lot of governments. Along with knowing, okay, if I do this, it's going to be off with my head via international court. That was the whole point of an international court. But because they were not effective, and they basically failed, we now have this government of this country funding and training terrorist groups. Oh, I'm sorry, rebels. And they're just getting away with it. Nobody is holding them to task. Nobody is holding the government of Israel to task for what they're doing to the Palestinians and have been doing for over 50 years. Nobody is being held to task. There's no reason to worry about it, because they already know the Nuremberg Trails were designed to fail. They were done. They were a waste of tax dollars. It was nothing more than vanglorious pissing contest. That's all it was. And granted, yes, some of them did take their own lives. There were some that were hung, but they weren't the high-level monsters. The ones that knew everything. No, those guys got a free passport, a new ID, and a new country to call home and terrorize the people of. That's what they got. Now, it's debatable whether Hitler and Adolf Hitler actually survived. The popular myth is they took their own lives. Do I believe that? No, not for a minute. Not for a millisecond. Kind of like we were told that Osama bin Laden was dead. The fact is, he probably died prior to 2011. Because he was on dialysis when 9/11 happened, which he had nothing to do with. And I think everybody knows that now. Had the Nuremberg trials been effective, well, we wouldn't be in Afghanistan. We wouldn't be in Iraq, Syria illegally. We wouldn't be in Yemen and Oman illegally trying to overturn Venezuela. Because Nuremberg trials would have made it clear. You pull this again, anyone pulls that kind of nonsense, there will be serious penalties. And if you go and you kill one group of people just because, well, they're there and you're bored, it'll be off of your head. So that is the message Nuremberg trials could have sent. But they failed. They were designed to fail. They were designed to be a pissing contest. Nothing more. Alright. I've gone on long enough about this. And to be quite honest, I've thought long and hard about this. I've always thought that they were a failure. But now we're seeing proof that they were a failure with the way this government and the government of Israel is behaving. They are behaving worse than the Nazis did. I mean, they have left the Nazis in the dust a long time ago. I'm going to leave you a link to HighImpact Flix, Brian. I haven't really talked about these shootings that have been going on, been scheduled and carried out on schedule through this week, because I think he did a really good job. Brian always gets to the bottom line. I will see you tomorrow for Missing Child Monday. over Scratch Kitchen, I'm going to be putting up my tomato sauce video that I filmed yesterday, and the pizza video, and why you should not try and stretch one pizza crust to two different things. You guys see it, okay? Watch it and learn. That's all I'm gonna say. See you tomorrow.